Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Remember, I had one of these on last week. Remember the old Burma Shave signs on the roadway? Well, here's another one this morning that I found. Passing school zone. Take it slow. Let our little shavers grow. Burma Shave. I love that one. Hey, good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance to start the week off right. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell and Zeb at the Ranch for the next 3 hours. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Oh, my goodness sakes, they are rolling with the best of tires and the best of brake service, everything. You stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living a good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Appreciate it, old buddy. And right now it's time for the weather forecast brought to everybody by K&R Rental. They're there already at 7 o'clock in the morning to serve you at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. And they've got the best rental of tools and equipment, the best of tools and equipment for you to finish any job, start a job, complete a job, whatever you're saying. And I'll guarantee you they've got all the construction equipment, too, that you may need for a new building, whatever. You better get it taken care of before we get some really bad weather. Stop over and see them or give them a call. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this first full work week of November, and honestly, it's going to be very nice. We are expecting sunny skies with a high of 55. Winds are going to be calm out of the west at about 5 miles an hour tonight, nice and clear with a low of about 30. And then it looks like this high-pressure system is going to stick around for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 60. We're expecting an overnight low of 31 by Wednesday, mostly sunny and 60, overnight low of 27. 55 for Thursday, back up to 60 for Friday and Saturday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by K&R Rental. And whether you just need a heater or whether you need all kinds of big equipment, construction equipment, all the equipment is right there at K&R Rental. For both long and short-term rental, they've got the best to serve you. K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Number to call, 678-3122. Want to remind you too quickly about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Hello, Kevin. Hello, crew over there at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I had another call. Hold on, caller. I had another call last week, and somebody said, I heard you mention that Daryl's Cleaners will wash, dry, fold, and iron all of my clothes. So if I don't have time to do the washing, I can take them in there. And I said, yup, the Gary Cooper, yup. And they will. So stop in. They do the best in dry cleaning. They do the best of taking care of your clothes. Absolutely. Darrow's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody, no excuses. Go vote tomorrow. I don't want to hear this. Oh, I had to stay home and trim my fingernails. I had to stay home and rearrange my sock drawer. Oh, come on. Vote tomorrow. Don't forget. Hey, by the way, for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, it's Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And they're also opening up early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And they've got all your furnace filters. They can keep you warm, absolutely. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs with the professionals that have been in business for almost 7 decades. Holy moly. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How art thou?
I art fine, thank you.
Okay. Have you ever seen a more lackluster city election than the one that's coming up tomorrow? What a disgrace it is to our area that these people who want the job think they can just put out a yard sign and the people will come running to them. It ain't going to happen that way.
Well, let's talk about that, Keith, just a little bit. Let's talk about that. A lot of people that run for political office absolutely are naive and completely unknowledgeable how to advertise themselves. And they think that just by, I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying many think that if they stick out a couple of yard signs, like you said, everybody's going to flock to the polls and they're going to remember the name and they're going to put them in as the next candidate of choice. In simple, plain slang language, it ain't going to happen that way. And I like you, and we talked about this last week, I'm like you, and they better start doing a little bit of knowledge and finding out about the knowledge necessary to run a campaign and how to advertise themselves.
Well, I got more out of this election from the women running than any of the men.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing about it I've noticed, that they've put out notice that they want to win, and they've also listed all their accomplishments and why they want to win.
Well, there's just
hear from the people who are running.
Yeah, there's just little information out on the candidates. We're running limited candidates for various positions on my program, and I'm not saying that we should have got all the advertising. That would be naive of me to say that, but I'm just saying that they need to develop advertising sources, and maybe they need to contact people like me or Gina at our sister station Cat and other places so that they can understand advertising and know the most effective way to put themselves out in front of the public so the public knows who they are and what they stand for. But you can't go into a political race just by sticking a yard sign in the dirt. You can't do it.
Well, you know as well as I do, Bill, because of all the years that you've been in business for yourself, that it takes money to make money.
Yes.
And I don't say you got to spend a lot of money, but you got to spend it effectively. You've got to let them know who you are and where you are and what you represent.
Absolutely. Point well taken, Keith. I've got another call, but I appreciate you breaking the ice this morning. Thank you, sir. God bless. Have a good day. Thank you. All right, sir. Thank you. Go vote tomorrow. Everybody go vote. Please go vote. Caller, I'll be right there. I promise. I want to tell everybody to also go to Denny's restaurant. There you go. Go vote, then go to Denny's. Oh. breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Oh, it's good, it's good. 611 North Overland and Burley with the best of breakfast. Like Deanne just absolutely loves those strawberry vanilla crepes. Oh, they are good. And I don't care what time you go in there. It's all delicious, and the people are so nice. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Yep, it's true. America's Diner serving you. Denny's Restaurant. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. The menu for the seniors today is chicken fried steak and all of the trimmings and yummy dessert. That's at the South Overland at the Burley Senior Center.
All right, Joe, how you doing over there anyway, Joe? Things going better? Are they getting a lot of people over there?
Well, we can always use more. I'm always pleading for more help.
All right, well, we'll send them over to the Senior Center on Overland, and just look for the world's best cheerleader, Joe Taylor, over there.
Only $5 will get you all you can eat.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks. I'm going to get into one of my stories here in just a minute, but I want to remind you, too, about Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Hello, Dr. Bill and the rest of the staff. You know, listen, we are in a little bit of a warming trend right now to where, you know, the water's maybe not freezing like it did a couple of days ago. My goodness, hard as a rock. And I've stressed this every day on this ad for Ark Animal Hospital. Please make sure you have adequate sources of fresh running water for your livestock, your dogs, kitty cats, horses, everything. They need a lot of water during the winter months. So please make sure you're taking care of that. And that little health tip from our friends and your friends at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn, where they have the warm hearts for the cold noses. 678-1177. Also, I want to mention, speaking of politics and races tomorrow, we have this gentleman that is running for the title of mayor of Heyburn. His name is Mark Rosa, and he would really like to have your vote tomorrow on Election Day. And he says that the city of Heyburn needs smart leadership that will keep taxes and utility rates in line with the neighboring cities, and he will not overturn the will of the people by pushing through items that were voted down. He wants your vote tomorrow on Election Day, and that's Mark Rosa running for Heyburn Mayor, paid for by Mark Rosa for Mayor Committee. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have a little complaint that I want to air. I wrote about this in my last week's blog. By the way, Deanne wanted me to remind everybody that if you'd like to get my blog, Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, it usually comes out every Friday or Saturday morning. And, we're sending it out to thousands and thousands of people right now. And if you'd like to get on that, go to zebbell.com and click on for the Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, and we'll make sure that we get it to you. But I wrote a blog last week in regards to how we're going from Halloween right to Christmas. I mean, Halloween right to Christmas. And my grandmother, my German grandmother, would sit there and say, ay, 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 and lost in that transition. If you notice the advertising right at Halloween, I mean, it started showing Christmas trees, and the newspaper had sales, special Christmas sales. We're losing fact and the sight of the fact that Thanksgiving is now almost a forgotten holiday. And it really gripes me. I don't think that the retailers are going to make any money off of Thanksgiving other than maybe the sale of a turkey or ham and the stuffing. And it's one of those holidays where they go, come see, come saw, let's just hit Christmas even harder. Let's really ring up those registers for Christmas. And it bothers me because it's a disgusting runover of a very important holiday for families and people of faith. to give thanks for what they have and who they have in their family and what's been done for them. And it sickened me. Anybody else agree that Thanksgiving is becoming a thoughtless holiday, a forgotten holiday? That's the way I feel. I'm not going to back up. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's a shame. I mean, some of my fondest memories are of Thanksgiving and the family gathering, etc. And I just hate to see that it's being diminished and pushed out of sight. Don't forget Dino's Septic Service. Absolutely. They have the best of septic tank pumping and, of course, backhoe services, septic inspections, sewer and sink drain lines clean, liquid waste removal. What are you waiting for? Don't sit there and just be grouchy because you got a problem. Let them fix it. Let them take care of it. Dino's Septic Service. And, of course, the numbers to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638 for the best of fast, fair, friendly service. And they pull in the yard with a big truck that says, "Smells cargo on the way." Dino's Septic Service. You call them right now. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I've put this on the air before, and I really would like your opinion on this, folks. Come on, don't weaken on me. But what is so wrong? And I consider myself fairly intelligent. I can read, I can study, I can understand words, I can understand what's going on in the world today. But what is so wrong with saying nationalism? That you are or I am a nationalist. You know, it's been changed now by the loony left to where that's a derogatory term. And that term is being used by many, many people, including, it was in an op-ed this weekend by a guy by the name of Chris Houston that writes now an op-ed every Sunday in the Times News. And I don't give the guy very much credence. He's a follower, not a leader. And he said, and now we have the shocking rise of tribal nationalism. Tribal nationalism. Let's just think about that for just a little bit. Nationalist or nationalism in the dictionary is explained as being devoted to one's country, or being a patriot, or our country is more important than international interests, other countries. And you say, well, that's how I feel. Well, that's the way I feel too. And then this guy using tribal nationalism, tribal meaning a strong sense of identifying with and being loyal to one's group. Well, if you want to say that being an American and a proud American is tribal nationalism, oh, Chris, old buddy, when you write this, you really ought to study the words and the meaning of words and not come up with the slang that you put in this article, that we have the shocking rise of tribal nationalism, when he doesn't, this writer, even know the meaning of the words. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, you know something? Every time I read that guy, I just want to... I haven't had time, but I was going to have my daughter email him, or I was going to email him.
Hold on, Randy. Wheels, you got to turn him up when he's talking. I can barely hear him this morning. Ride that gain, Wheels. Thank you.
Is this better?
Yes, it's a lot better. Thank you.
This phone, I tell you what, I got a new phone, but it's an iPhone, and they're junk. And I'm sorry. I hope I'm not upsetting anybody, but I'm done with them. But a couple of weeks ago, I ran into an op-ed that he wrote about saying Trump was in over his head.
Yeah.
The things that Trump has accomplished are so vast, under the unbelievable. Trump has been in the gauntlet for 3 years or more, and he's beat everybody. He's accomplished all these things. Is it not good, all the things that he's accomplished? And then this doofus thinks he's smarter, and then they try to, when you see these op-eds in the Times News, which has only got about 4,000 subscribers.
And diminishing, yeah.
It's a joke. They're a joke.
Well, you know, the whole paragraph, Randy, that I want to read is, and then he said, and now we have the shocking rise of tribal nationalism, the scourge of pornography, the internet echo chamber, the mass shootings, new types of chemical and biological weapons available for internet purchase, a growing minority, listen to this one, a growing minority willing to dismiss medical science as a hoax, and then also the stunning denial of climate change. Randy, I've studied climate change probably more than most over the last 10 years when they started calling it global warming, etc. And now we're seeing, and by the way, it's on record that this past month of October was the coldest on record for the state of Idaho. We're seeing a change and a transition in a cyclical cooling trend where God does have his hand on the thermostat. And I get a little sick and tired of these people, these elitists that think they have their chin way up in the air and their nose tilted back and are better than everybody else. And I don't like their attitude because they are what they think are the supreme beings, and it sickens me.
I tell you what, this morning, all the good, patriotic, hardworking people of America who got up today to send their kids off to school to go to work and do whatever they have to do, and some are doing better than others, but generally, a rising tide raises all boats, and the tide is high. In 08, 09, 10, the tide was, I'm telling you, the river had dried up with Mr. Obama. I can't even believe it. And you know, you say to yourself, are there elected officials who care about America more than their own personal gain?
Yeah.
The other day, a guy told me that 250 of the elected officials, congressmen and senators, and I don't know how it broke down, 250 of them went into office and they weren't millionaires, and now they are. Now, who cares about America more than me and you, or not more, but at least seems to care about America, and Mr. Donald J. Trump, and everybody go, oh, that's a laugh. He's a lying creep. He's a white supremacist. No, he's not. He's not anything. He's been beat to a pulp, and he's still managing to get something done.
Absolutely. I appreciate your call, Randy, as always. You brought out excellent points this morning, and I thank you for it. Thank you. Right. Caller number 2, stand by. I'll be right with you. I want to remind you that the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat that you can adjust from anywhere, your home's temperature from anywhere, any place, with that remote control access is available through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, and they're offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Keep comfy. Don't forget, call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Caller, good morning. I'll talk to you before I give away the cookies. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I'll tell you, Boise was almost 7 degrees below normal on the average every day, and we're definitely in a cooling period. I mean, and they're having record-breaking cold in other areas, and so we may be in for a long, cold winter and maybe for an extended period of time, according to the real climatologist. And the thing that really irritates me is that, we're spending millions of dollars right here in Idaho to supposedly be politically correct, meaning Idaho Power, putting out 300,000 solar panels out here south of Twin Falls at Rogerson, 1,000 acres of land's tied up, and the sun's right now only shining about 10 hours a day, and it goes down to 9, and you have to have a 24/7 backup, and so you're doubling up on the energy because as soon as that sun is not available or the wind's not blowing, and so. Since I talked to you, I've written Idaho Power. They have a new president, and Darrell Anderson's still the CEO of IdaCorp and president. But I've written letters, made him sign for it, and that was 2 weeks ago. coming up this week, and still no reply. And I finally got a phone call from a lady up there after I persisted and wanted somebody to call me back. And, they said, well, we got your 4 other letters. I said, well, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Because nobody made a remark.
Okay, Adrian, I
need to be camping on these people.
I agree with you. And I certainly hope that other people like yourself will say, well, listen, why won't you answer your questions that Zeb Bell wanted to propose to you regarding your going completely green by 2045? There are thousands of questions, literally, that we could ask, and we as ratepayers should demand answers, but they're hiding under their desk. Adrian, I've got to give away my cookies for Monday morning, but I appreciate your call. I really do. Thank you.
Just make one comment.
Quickly.
I mentioned about your program, that nobody would come on your program. The lady said, well, that's interesting. She said, I'll check into it. Because so I brought up the fact that nobody had the guts the backbone to come on your program to answer questions. So we need to be persistent. You can just look up Idaho Power on the internet and get a phone number, and we need to have a lot of phone calls and emails, and also they will not give out the email for the CEO and the president.
Yeah.
Will not give it out. Nope. The PUC, I did get emails for the PUC, so we need to contact PUC too and stop approving these stupid projects.
I agree. I got to run. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it. I really do thank you for all your effort. Thank you much. We got to give away some cookies quickly, and the cookies, of course, delicious cookies, a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my, are they good. And don't forget, they've got a tremendous restaurant, super bakery, and if you're the lucky winner of a trivia contest, we're about ready to give you the question. Just call them, let them know when you're going to be in to pick up your cookies. Wonderful people at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. Now, here is the question. Now, I'm going to have you put on your thinking caps a little bit and go back in time into the 60s. This actor that I'm talking about started in TV starring in a rodeo cowboy movie called Stony Burke. Then he went into another TV series called Hawaii Five-0 as the star. Who is this actor? He started in a TV series called Stony Burke. And then he went on to star in a television series, highly successful television series, and that was Hawaii Five-0. Who was the lead actor? First person to call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587 with the correct answer is going to win the cookies. I can see the wheels turning out there. Come on, quickly. Who was the actor? And he started in a TV series called Stony Burke. It was a story about a rodeo cowboy, and then he went to Hawaii Five-0. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, Mr. Zebbill. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
The actor was Jack Lord.
And what is your name?
My name is Barbara.
Well, Barbara, there's about 27 million Barbaras. What's your last name?
Barbara Knight.
Okay, well, you are the lucky winner, and please call them over at Sophie's and let them know when you'll be in for your cookies, okay?
Okay, I sure will. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
God bless you. Thank you very much.
God bless.
Very nice lady right there, Barbara Knight, and she is right. Jack Lord. Jack Lord. I think after the Hawaii Five-0 TV series, he was quite a painter. He enjoyed doing painting and everything. He kind of retired from the acting business and stayed right there in Hawaii where they had filmed that TV series. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. How would you respond if all of a sudden you went into Burley or Rupert or Twin Falls or Boise, Idaho Falls, doesn't make any difference what the town or city is. And you had to step around, drive around, or really watch where you put your foot because of all the possible homeless people that have moved into your area. And the city basically hasn't done a thing to tell them, hey, time to pick up and get out of Dodge City and be a little bit more or a lot more responsible for your life. And we don't want you here. And the city's not doing anything. Well, here's what's going on down in Austin, Texas, as we speak this morning. Governor Abbott has said, that's it. You're turning Austin, Texas, into the likes and simulation of San Francisco. And we're not going to stand for it. You're gone. If you are living in a tent, you're living under a freeway overpass, or you're living on the streets, and the merchants are complaining because of public urination and defecation right in front of their store on the sidewalks, and the trash is absolutely, you just can't handle all the trash with the city people that are working 24/7, 365. And more people are coming in, and they're sitting back in front of their makeshift homes on the street, basking in the sunshine and laughing at the system. Well, that's what's happening in Austin, Texas. And I was absolutely shocked this morning, and I hope somebody else saw this interview with a person that's a homeless person down in Austin, Texas, and they said, well, I'm just going to pick up and I'll move to another street overpass. Well, according to the governor and this massive push, no, you won't either. We're going to push you out of there. And he said, well, why do I like living homeless? Well, I don't have to do anything. I get free money. I get free food. I get all the food I want. If I get sick, I can go to the hospital. They'll take care of me. And besides that, and he said this in the interview, we have a real good party all the time, almost every night. Wow. Wow. Wouldn't all of us like to sit back and enjoy like that? I don't have any responsibility. I don't have to go to work. I don't owe my soul to the company store. I get free this, free that, and I can go have a party every night and come back to my little tent and just enjoy. You see the problem, in my opinion, I'm going to sound very harsh and calloused on this. Homelessness is not all with people that have had mental problems or people that are totally destitute. No way. With all the job availabilities today, look at here. I mean, drive up and down any main street of any town or side street. Look at the marquees. Look at all the help wanted signs. Don't tell me they can't pull themselves up by their bootstrap, put their big boy pants on, and get to work. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Hey, a couple of summers ago, my husband and I had the opportunity to, we stayed in a high-rise hotel right in the center of Salt Lake. Anyways, our ride was coming the next morning, and so, well, the next day, our ride was coming about 10 o'clock. So that morning we got up and ate breakfast and thought, let's just walk around the Salt Lake Center Square type area, and it was fairly early, but not super early, and I thought, we'll just see some things. There wasn't hardly anybody out, and I was absolutely shocked at how filthy it was from the people that had slept in the little alcoves from in front of the different shops, and big splatters of urine here and there, and some of those homeless people that were trying to panhandle. And like I said, it wasn't super early. And then there were some shop owners out there trying to spray down their sidewalks to clean the urine and stuff off. I was just like, well, grossed out. And I thought, really? Is this how it is in Austin?
Yeah.
Seriously, is this how it is?
Let me just interact with you a little bit on what you said. I was worried about you and your husband the minute you started talking about this, because you do not, in certain areas of Salt Lake, go out for a stroll either in the morning or the evening. You do not put your life and your health at risk for what you might run into, who you might run into, or what you might step on. And if people think I'm kidding or lying, all you have to do is go down there. And like you said, it's right there, just maybe a stone's throw from some of the major hotel chains in Salt Lake's downtown, and it's absolutely horrific, scary, and it absolutely is an eye-opener as to the problem that we're talking about in San Francisco and other places.
Well, it certainly was to me. I just thought I'd make a comment.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call. Thank you so much, and I'm going to start this today. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Well, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Goodbye.
No, my milk of human kindness in the refrigerator, the carton is empty. And we've got to start cleaning up. I always use the phrase Dodge City. And it's going to take a lot of Matt Dillons to get it done. Oh, yes, I understand that there are some that absolutely need help. There are some that need mental guidance. And they have to rely on trained personnel to get them through a rough stage, etc. But after listening and watching this one particular jerk that's a homeless person by want, not by need. He wants to stay homeless because he's too darn lazy to work. This is where I draw the line. Good morning, you're on the air.
Hi, Zeb. I'd like to point out another group of homeless people. What about the homeless vets? And these people were, at least at one time, highly motivated.
All right.
We should cut them a little bit of slack.
No. Wait a minute. You don't mingle my points. I'm talking about people that are able-bodied and they've let society just let them fill their tin cup. When it comes to our vets, I'll stand tall and stand true with you that they're coming back to circumstances where they've given their all for this country. They've fought for this country. They fought for our freedom. They fought for you and I. And if they're having some tough times, I'll be the first to say that whether it's with psychotherapy or whatever the case is needed for these vets, I say help them. But don't commingle these problems.
Okay, but if these other people had a choice, I don't think they would choose to defecate on the streets and stuff, you know? I mean, these services just need to be provided or something, you know, and give them a place to go.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Then you're saying that we should start supplying 2 to 3 times the cost for the little mini toilets all over the street, up and down the street, toilets that are out in front of storefronts and everything else. The problem is our society is given too much. The problem is these people are receiving too much in their little tin cup where they get the free food, the free money, and like this guy said, I don't have to buy beer out of my own pocket. It's basically supplied to me so we can have a party every night. That is a major part of homelessness, like in Austin, San Francisco, LA, etc. It's time to clean it up.
Yeah, people like that are a leech on society, but there's a lot of other people out there that don't choose to be like that. They're just beyond their control, you know?
All right, well, so what are you going to do? How are you going to clean it up and stop the living on the street, stop the defecation and the urination, stop the absolutely deplorable conditions? You tell me then, what are you going to do unless you get government involved that says, hey, enough is enough, we're going to move them all out, we're going to find out who needs medical help and mental help, and then go from there?
Well, public toilets would be a start.
Yeah, but who's going to pay for that, sir?
Well, it's better than having defecation on the street.
Well, okay, but you're going to call Western Waste Services and you're going to literally deploy every single porta potty at the taxpayer's expense while you get creeps like this jerk they interviewed on television that sits back and says, hey, man, I got a free ride. I can party every night and I get all the food. All my friends are there. What are you going to do? Pay for everything for these people? Are they always going to be irresponsible?
Some of them, yeah. You can't help all of them, but most of them, I would think the majority of them don't choose to be like that, you know?
I disagree. I don't know what you do for a living. I don't know anything about your responsibilities, your family, etc. But you sound like a person that absolutely cares and is willing to devote an effort to make yourself a better person as a taxpayer and pay your bills. That's something that many, many, many of these people have forgot.
Well, thank you. And earlier you asked about nationalism, and the problem with nationalism that it's really just glorified bigotry.
No, it's not. Absolutely, you're wrong. I'm proud of this country. This country means more to me than anything. I have been afforded all the opportunities by living in this great United States of America. I am a nationalist that when they raise that red, white, and blue, I stand there and I look up at that flag with tears in my eyes. Don't you dare conflict nationalism with bigotry. That's absolutely wrong.
Well, you know, it's okay to have a little pride in...
A little?
But to think you're better than somebody else because of where you're born. I'm not saying you're better than them because of the color of their skin. Or
oh, that you're extorting this thing into a land of fantasy. I'm proud of this country, and I'm proud of the word nationalism, and I'm proud to be a nationalist for the United States of America. I'm not trying to make myself a bigot or anything better than anybody else. I stand there and look up at that flag, and I've heard the anthem probably 10,000 times more than you have, and I'm sick and tired of the denigration of this country.
Well, like I said, there's nothing wrong with being proud of where you're from and stuff, but to claim you're better than other people, well, that's wrong.
Did I claim I was better than anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Did I?
Well.
Did I? Did I claim that I was better than anybody else? My opening statement was, I'm proud to be an American. I am proud of who I am, and I'm proud of what this country stands for. Never once did you hear me say that I'm better than anybody else. Back off on that a little bit.
All right. Well, that's just how I see nationalism.
Thank you.
I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with being proud, but to elevate yourself is...
Oh, I don't think anybody... That to me just doesn't cut the cake. As a matter of fact, the ice cream melted. Caller, I'll be with you in a minute. I've got to get the weather forecast on, and the weather is being brought to everyone by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And I just want to remind everybody that they're very thankful for our veterans that have served us. And they're serving the local veterans' hearing health care needs through the VA Community Care Program. And during the week of November 11th through the 15th, stop by our office in Rupert to receive a small gift as a token of the gratitude for your service. Wonderful people serving your healthcare needs, and that, of course, is Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call, 417-8799. Here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this first full work week of November, and honestly, it's going to be very nice. We are expecting sunny skies with a high of 55. Winds are going to be calm out of the west at about 5 miles an hour tonight, nice and clear with a low of about 30. And then it looks like this high-pressure system is going to stick around for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 60. We're expecting an overnight low of 31 by Wednesday, mostly sunny and 60, overnight low of 27. 55 for Thursday, back up to 60 for Friday and Saturday. That's the look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Okay, I'm brought to you by our friends, Dr. Pickup and the outstanding folks at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And again, that number to call for an appointment, 417-8799. Wonderful people. Caller, you have been so patient. Quickly, go ahead, you're on the air. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Hello, Chief. This is hello, Hoss. This is Chief.
Speak up nice and loud, Chief, quickly.
Hey, those people use those portable toilets to inject heroin and smoke crack in, and that's why they're never available for any of those people to use.
You know, Chief, what you just said was verified by quite a few news people in the San Francisco area. They had that on one of their stories, and you're not saying anything that's out of line. You're telling the exact truth.
Yeah, and you know, some of these veterans, my other family in-laws, he has been in veterans hospitals all across the country. When he was in Vietnam, he was a pole line worker, and he fell and broke both of his hips. So I've talked to him a little bit, and he says that, unfortunately, some of those veterans have great benefits. They're getting Social Security
Security, and they're getting VA benefits, and they've got a card that allows them to go into any hospital that they want to go into. But every time they bring them in and clean them up and get them all straightened out, they go right back out on the street.
It goes...
Be out there on the street.
I think you'll agree with me, Chief, and I got another call waiting, but I think you'll agree with me that personal responsibility has diminished in our country and in our society, and it's got to be brought up again, and people have got to start pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps and be responsible. Hey, how are you been feeling? Real quick, tell me how you're doing. I'm worried about you.
I've actually been doing pretty good. My diabetes is under control, and I'm starting to get around a lot better. But thing is, too, this generation is some generations, their parents felt like they had to make things better for the kids. And all they did was slip a silver spoon in their mouth, and they're worthless. They don't want to do nothing. They don't... get them on Facebook, and they'll defend Nancy Pelosi, and they'll defend Hillary, and you can argue with them, but it doesn't do any good. It's just like this last fellow that was on the phone, There's a complete lack of any common sense. Nancy Pelosi is in Washington trying to unroot a president that's been elected by the people, and her state's on fire.
There you go. Chief, you really hit the nails right there in the board. I appreciate it, my friend. I got to run, but God bless you and take care of yourself, okay?
Back at you.
All right, thank you very much. Caller, I'll be right with you. I promise. I got to tell everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. They've got three locations to serve you with the equipment you need to finish any job. Let me tell you, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. They've got all the equipment for the lifting, the digging, the pushing, the carrying, the grading, the leveling, everything. All the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, all the various sizes of bobcats and all that they do. I'm telling you, get a hold of them today. Barry Equipment and Rental. For the best of lease programs and purchases, Barry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning again, Zeb. When I was living in Las Vegas last winter, there was a certain off-ramp off a freeway there, and I noticed this guy not begging for anything, but selling flowers. If you can imagine this, what he was doing was going to these grocery stores and places like that had these flowers for sale, or, and when they get a little bit aged, they would throw them away.
Yep.
He would go and give them up, and he'd stand there by the freeway and indicate to people, hey, don't you think your wife would like to have these for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
And it was just a wonderful thing to see somebody that's resourceful. I don't know how disabled he was, but he was resourceful.
You and I could go on and on about this resourcefulness, but I've got another call waiting. Keith, God bless you for your call back. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, sir. Caller, quickly, I've only got about 2 minutes left. Go fast.
Well, when we start labeling, you and I are white supremacists because we're white. And nobody knows anything about my history or your history or what we've done and how patriotic and, all the good things we do. I'm the least prejudiced person on earth. But I'm tired of people cheating. I don't care if you're white trash, Mexican, black, whatever you are. If you're cheating, you're cheating. And I don't want to be called a name. I'm a nationalist. Being patriotic is being a nationalist.
Well, I tell you what. Wait a minute. Let me jump in here and expedite our call here a little bit. When they have the national anthem for Brazil, do you think I'm going to stand up and burst with pride? When they have the national anthem for Pakistan, am I going to stand up and burst with pride? No, I'm not. I'm a nationalist that loves this country. And if people like Chris Dixon that write these loopy articles for the Times News and others are going to condemn me for being a nationalist, so be it.
Well, it's so politically correct. It's so in with see, the city of Twin fancies itself as being enlightened liberal. The mayor, Beauregard, the city council, you know, they think they're progressive. And that paper, that pile of crap paper, thinks it's progressive. And it's losing readers all the time. When you go out and you actually know the people that live in these communities and work and run and business, I have a gigantic clientele list, and I'm very proud of it. I worked my behind off to do it, to get it. And I tell you, not a one of them are progressive. They're all conservative, hard-working people that believe in free market capitalism.
Absolutely.
And I don't need somebody labeling me as a nationalist because I'm patriotic. Tell the people of Hong Kong who are singing the national anthem and holding our flags that they want to be us.
Yeah. Randy, I'm out of time, but you're 100% on the money. God bless you, man. Thank you. And I've quickly got to wrap up this hour by saying, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. A lot of things to take care of going into the fall and then into the winter. Ooh, yuck. You got to make sure you got the best of tires. They have them. You got to make sure that your brakes are really working well. They do that. Front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. You want to make sure on those cold winter mornings that when you turn the key, everything's going to start. Well, they've got the best of everything and the best of service to you. Absolutely. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I am really late. Got to run to the news. I'll be back in 7 minutes. Oh, running late. Good morning. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today. Along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And let's not forget Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia struggle.
And I urge you, if you're new in the area, call the number 734-6969. Get on the route service and they'll come and get your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Absolutely. Give them a jingle today. They are really, really concerned people, and they don't want you to have garbage here, garbage there. Hey, they'll come and get it. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Want to remind you that tomorrow's Election Day, and this lady, the mayor of Hayburn, Cleo Gallegos, is running for re-election, and she wants your vote tomorrow. And she wants to work to beautify the city of Hayburn and create the vision the citizens have for prosperity and growth, and also ensure that Hayburn's water system is protected and provides clean, safe water to all citizens. Tomorrow's Election Day, and this lady wants your vote for re-election to be the mayor of Hayburn, Cleo Gallegos. And this is paid for by Cleo Gallegos for mayor. And don't forget, vote tomorrow on Election Day. Also, real quick, I want to remind everybody and thank our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, his family and his staff serving you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one. And they are very, very concerned that they provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And always, always with the highest ethical standards and unquestioned integrity. Please write the number down. Call them. 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. I know I'm running late, but I've got to get this in. I want to remind you, too, I'm going to be over at Burley Physical Therapy on rehabilitation this afternoon, another one of the treatments on my leg, and I'll guarantee you they can help you, whether you got the aching and paining from the surgeries or an accident. They can and they will help you. All the exercises with absolutely the highest trained physical therapists, and also the hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in the area. I urge you to give them a call at 678-1191, and they are located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The best serving you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Right now, let's go to the phone line. Boy, I'm running late. I'm sorry to keep him so long in the waiting room, but I'd like to say good morning to a super gentleman, and I really trust what he says on the air. President of the Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning, good morning.
Hey, Zeb, and I hope that treatment goes well for you on the leg. It's I'll tell you what, when the pins don't work right, it is not a good time.
Well, my pins haven't worked right for... I appreciate that. My pins, so to speak, my legs haven't worked right for a long time, but you get to be my age, and it seems like sometimes the problems are multiplied. But I want to congratulate you. Before we get into too much this morning, you are a man that really is involved with trying to keep and make America better and greater, and I see that you have a brand new book with Star Parker as the lead author, and she says with Richard Manning, called Necessary Noise. Tell us, please, about this book.
Well, it actually started about 2 years ago, almost a year and a half ago, I guess, where Star came to me and said, hey, Rick, I want to do a book with you and really talk about the culture war on America and kind of how it started and how it accelerated under President Obama and kind of woke people up, and what's happening now, and why it's this Donald Trump character who speaks loudly and sometimes is crass and crude, actually is the clarion wake-up call for people. So we don't just act like the frog that's in the pot that's slowly boiling, but in fact we, as a society, as Americans, attempt to jump out of the pot and not allow ourselves to be consumed by the cultural morass that's going on. And so that's what the book's about. It's an easy read, and I think it's in Star Parker's voice, and she brings her unique perspectives to it. But some of the, most of it's, I wrote the first draft, so to speak, and she then took it and made it her own, and some of it I can recognize and some of it I can't. So it's really I think it's a good read, and I think people will enjoy it. And if anybody's interested, they go to rickmanning.org, and they can should get a direct link to it.
You know, Rick, I consider you a friend, and if you don't like anything I say on this program, I expect you to be combative and correct me in your opinion. I respect that. I really had
time in my life where I've been accused of not doing that.
Well, and I respect that, my friend. You and I are both pretty well outspoken, but I am really incensed that all of a sudden, because of my race, being Caucasian or basically white, and I love this country. You and I have talked about this before, but it's becoming more prominent of a problem. And because of my race, being Caucasian, and also that I'm a nationalist, I believe that this is the greatest country ever in the world's history. I get teary-eyed when I look up at that flag and I hear the national anthem. I really absolutely stand tall and straight for the Pledge of Allegiance, and now I'm being called a bigot, or I'm being called in a slang derivation of the words white nationalist that is wrong. What is the matter with these people that they can change, twist, and curl the language to fit themselves and lump us into bigotry by saying white nationalism is wrong?
Well, they're redefining America. That's when President Obama talked about fundamentally transforming America, this is what he meant. Where being proud of your country, being proud of our origins, being proud of our
founding fathers, knowing how our country, the principles upon how our country was founded, those things, the very Western idea of individual freedom, the very Christian idea that all lives matter, are essentially under attack, and in order to synopsize it all, if you were a white male, particularly if you're a white male over a certain age, you are to be discounted as having any validity whatsoever, because our children have been taught that we are evil. And it is it's strange. I see it in strange places. As you know, I'm a USC football fan, and so I went to USC, and so and being remote from USC, I go on to USC football bars, and trust me, this is a bad morning to admit you're a USC football fan after the Oregon debacle. But it is but you know what? On the message boards, you'll get notes from some kids will say sometimes, "Oh, I bet you're over 40," and it's like, "Oh my gosh, what did that happen?" And I was, you don't know anything because I'm young and you're not, and hence I know everything. And there's this, and then you get the racial comments as well, and it's really weird. But yeah, it's been made okay. It's been made socially acceptable for young people to discount anybody who is white, and particularly anybody who actually knows anything, because they've been told that there's this massive problem out there of racism, and that we are at its core racist, and they're just wrong. They're just wrong. They've been indoctrinated, and our biggest mistake is allowing that to occur.
I could not agree more.
Indoctrinated our children, even when they told us that was the purpose of public education.
Yeah,
we trusted them, and to not do that, and instead they did, and we allowed it, and now we're bearing the fruit of that poison seed.
I want to shift gears, and I want to go into another subject this morning with you. And again, we've talked about this in the past. But over the weekend, I started really taking all the different news stories. I started writing down everything I could from the various networks and the visiting personnel that they had on, talking about Elizabeth Warren's $52 trillion Medicare for all. The numbers will never add up. The numbers will never balance. And it's going to be the ruination of Social Security. It's going to be the ruination of our medical science and doctors and nurses and study of research in this country. How come and why do you think the American public is so gullible and so naive that they could possibly think this will work?
First of all, I don't think most people in the American public do think it'll work. Just think of the basic concept that government is more efficient than private sector. Okay, because that's essentially at its core what she's saying. She's going to get all this cost savings because government's going to be much more efficient than the private sector. Competition for your healthcare dollar is less efficient in terms of driving costs down than no competition for your healthcare dollar. And truthfully, she's fighting against, and this is where the frustration lies. She's fighting against nothing. She's fighting against air because the GOP has not really produced a plan. They are now put themselves in the position because they failed to actually get rid of Obamacare. They've put themselves in the position of having to defend the status quo, which is a failure. And they're not going and asking simple questions like, okay, if 180 million Americans, almost 200 million Americans, have health insurance, okay, and another, essentially, who are you trying to do this for? Well, there's about 20 million, the highest estimate I have is about 20 million Americans don't have health insurance. Of those, about 10 million of them specifically chose not to have health insurance. We know from Obamacare, 7 million people said, I'm using odd numbers here, so I apologize, but 7 million people said, I would rather pay a tax, pay money to the government, than to buy the health insurance. About 7 million people said that.
And once the individual mandate went away, another 3 million people, on top of that 7 million, dropped out of the Obamacare health care plan and said, okay, now they don't have to pay a tax. I'm not going to have health care. So we've got a small number of people, relatively small number of people, about 10 million people, who want to have some kind of government health care. And so we're going to, what Elizabeth Warren says, we've got 10 million people who across the country who want to have some kind of government health care who don't have government health care now, or have it under Obamacare. We're going to spend trillions upon trillions and trillions of dollars, take away everybody's private health insurance, and stick them into a government plan, a one-size-fits-all government plan. We're going to basically make the doctors and nurses into public employees, because you know how well that works.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to say, let's start it all over. Let's do that, because we want to accommodate a very small percentage of the population. We want to have people who are illegal aliens that come here. We want to make sure they have access to government-provided health care. And so it's an open door for anybody who's sick to come here and get taken care of. And then even if they go home, we're still paying for it. So it's an open-ended disaster. And quite honestly, it's a solution to a problem that the Democrats created by layering regulation upon regulation upon regulation onto the healthcare system. And then they say, see, the free market doesn't work. We don't have a free market system. We have an extraordinarily highly regulated system. And for them to say that free market doesn't work and driving prices down is absurd. But because the GOP has failed to make the counter case in any real way, they're operating in a vacuum. And the GOP will say, it's too expensive, it's too expensive, it's too expensive. And so then the alternative, well, what's the alternative that's not so expensive? And they'll come up with some Elizabeth Warren light plan that will be a disaster and just be another stepping stone towards what Elizabeth Warren wants. So until the GOP decides and the people on the right decide we're going to fight this on a philosophical level and not allow them to accept the assumption that government health care is better, until we start saying that, until we start actually making that case, then we get exactly what we're going to get, and that is, we're now fighting for Obamacare, for goodness sakes, as a better alternative. And what a disaster that is. We just spent 10 years saying Obamacare is bad, now we're going to be defending it. So anyway, that's so Elizabeth Warren's trying to nationalize health care, and she's going to spend a lot of money doing it. And and she's lying to people, saying she won't raise middle class taxes when everybody's taxes are going to go up on this thing, and dramatically. And and not even the state of Vermont, Bernie's home state, could figure out how to pay for the Elizabeth Warren plan at the state level, and figured that it would drive businesses out of Vermont because the cost for doing business there would be so high that nobody would want to be in Vermont. So that's the reality of her plan. It's a disaster. I think she'll lose. I think if she's the nominee, it will be the reason she loses. But until the Republicans come up with a free market alternative that they're willing to fight for, it's very difficult to fight something with nothing.
Why doesn't somebody come up with a banner or a placard at a rally that holds up one word that would refer to the betterment of our healthcare system, and that word is competition? Competition would make everything better. Do you agree?
Competition and price transparency. People know if I have to pay for it and I know how much it costs, and I've got two. I'll use the physical therapist example. I've got two physical therapists who have offices, within a block and a half of one another, and one costs this much and the other one costs another amount. I'm probably going to try the one that costs less at first, and then if it turns out that from a quality standpoint or other things, I decide, well, I like this other one better, I'll switch over. But right now, you're locked into providers, you're locked into, and you don't, since prices aren't transparent, there's no competition on it. And when there's no competition on it, and since, by the way, it's also paid by somebody else, it's paid by the insurers, so you don't actually have to pay it out of pocket, since you don't have to pay it out of pocket, you're sitting there, you don't care what it costs. And ultimately, that's, once again, that's a recipe for higher cost health insurance when the individuals who are the users don't really have a vested interest in what the price is.
Absolutely. Rick, I've got about 4 minutes left, and I want to ask you about this continuing soap opera that gets bigger and larger with more advertisers, if you will, every week, and that's this idiocy of impeachment. The whistleblower, will he ever, if it's a he, come forward and address Trump face-to-face and answer questions? I mean, this thing just goes on and on and on. I thought by Thanksgiving maybe this horse would be out of the race, but it seems like the horse is on oats and going to run another one. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Democrats are taking everything on it, so yeah, they're going to continue pushing it. I do find it ironic that the Democrats are now trying to stop the whistleblower from having to testify, because, oh, heaven forbid, the guy who started the whole thing, lit the match on the fuse, should have to sit in front of people and answer questions about where he got his information from and how come he got it so wrong, and essentially allow the President of the United States to actually face his accuser. Imagine the concept. So, no, the Democrats don't even want the whistleblower to testify publicly now. They're offering that he will answer written questions, which means he would have to, basically his lawyer would answer written questions, and he would not then have to answer questions on direct re-examination. He would be able to write pre-planned answers. It shows everything you need to know about this. They do not want to be in the public light, because the minute they get sunlight on what they're doing, everybody will say, we've already been down this path. This is just a bunch of people who promised to impeach the president, who sought impeachment before he's even inaugurated, and continue this effort 3 years in, and the absurdity of trying to do it when we've got an election a year from now. We have an election a year from now when they could replace the president using legitimate means. But they're not willing to wait because they know in their hearts, they fear that this president will win, because he's been a darn good president, doing an amazing number of things for this country while being under constant attacks that would have tied every other kind of Gulliver president into knots. And the Lilliputians have been trying to tie up Donald Trump, and he keeps saying he basically uses his Twitter handle as a pair of scissors to cut the cords and continue fighting for freedom. So God bless him, but the Democrats can't figure it out, that they only have one tune, and the tune is impeachment. The tune is Orange Man Bad, and that's all they know how to do. And if they actually pass some legislation that the president was pushing towards them, their biggest fear is it will help reelect President Trump, and that's why they're not willing to work with him on legislation.
I would imagine, I've got about 30 seconds left, but I would imagine there are many, many people in Boston and the surrounding area this morning that are on their knees wailing and tearing their hair out because their absolutely perfect Patriots went down in a blaze of defeat last night.
It was amazing to see that Bill Belichick couldn't defend the college offense. It was just watching the Ravens with the quarterback and three other people in the backfield in almost an upside down wishbone formation.
Yes,
it was pretty astonishing to watch, and the fact the Patriots didn't know how to defend it showed that maybe the college guys know something.
There you go.
And Lamar Jackson's pretty good.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. This gentleman, of course, president of Americans for Limited Government, and Star Parker, along with this man, Rick Manning, absolutely the best. Have a new book out called Necessary Noise. Look for it in your bookstores. And, Rick, God bless you, man. Thank you for all you add to this program.
Comes out November 12th. You can go online and catch it now, though.
I will. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent dissertation about politics, and he knows. He's right there in the middle of it. You know, I'm very honored, as I've said many, many times, to have him on the air. He goes in front of the president and many others every week. And to have him on our program on a weekly basis means a lot. President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. Thank you. Okay, we got to pay some bills. I want to remind everybody about Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric, all teamed up with the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access, so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. That's right. Right now, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Check it out. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. And the number 678 is almost choked to death. 678-0459. Get a hold of them today, please. Want to remind you, too, that, I missed a golden opportunity to go up in the hills the other day, and it was so beautiful. Friday was just absolutely knock your socks off great. Saturday was great. Well, there's still time. Be sure and get up there, and don't forget, if the snow starts a-falling, you'd better have your snowmobiles and snow bikes from Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my. They've got a showroom floor full of fun. Absolutely. Check it out today. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. All your snowmobiles, all your snow bikes, everything, all the accessories, and here's the kicker, too, a great service department to keep you running. So stop over to Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. While you're over in that area, as I almost knocked the microphone over, don't forget, too, our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. When you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more for you, your family, and your business, be sure and get a hold of them today. Make an appointment. They will help you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. That number to call, 436-4424. I'll say it again, 436-4424. The best, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. You get a hold of them today. Right now, let's go to the telephone and our dear friend that's with us on Mondays. That's, of course, the one, the only from Golden, Colorado, Frosty Woldridge. How are you, my friend?
And good morning, Zeb. It's always a pleasure, and happy Monday morning, and I hope everyone is starting off with a cup of coffee and looking forward to the day, hard work, sense of purpose. It's all good. I'm at it myself.
Frosty, nobody on this program has ever known more about the numbers, known more about the problems, known more about what should be done with our border and illegal aliens just coming in through the porous holes of our border than you do. I put you at the top of the pedestal. And I want you to comment, if you would, this morning about a federal judge that, at least temporarily, blocked the Trump administration from implementing a rule that would require immigrants prove that they have health insurance or can afford to pay for it, instead of you and I and every American taxpayer being on the hook for their costs. The judge stopped this.
One of the things that's happening to our country right now is that our own elected officials are actually working against the American people. They're certainly working against the U.S. Constitution. And from what I can tell, they are bent on simply flooding this country with immigrants, both legal and illegal, without pause. In other words, as you all know, and I've stated before, and I can't state it enough times, within the next 10 years, we're going to have 35 million more people in this country, and most of them will be third-world immigrants. And if you know anything about culture, do you know why these cultures fail? Do you know why these countries fail? Do you know why there's so much corruption and so much graft and so much of the consequences that are going on in all these countries? And, of course, it's because the people are illiterate. the people literally do not have any capacity to develop and maintain viable societies. And unfortunately, we're literally importing them into our country at such an extraordinary rate of speed. I don't know if anybody knows it or not, but normally we import 1.2 million legally into the country every year. But this year, because of the run on the border, the U.S. Border Patrol stated that we now have over 1 million illegals who've crossed the border into America. So that's well over 2 to 2.2 million. And again, all of these immigrants are having an average of 900,000 children per year. So that's 3 million this year, 3.1 or 2, that are literally all going on welfare. and so then we have these federal judges who are blocking any attempt at Donald Trump trying to stop this invasion of our country. And so as long as this is going on, the invasion will continue. And I don't really have any understanding of why our own elected officials and or all of those elected representatives in Congress, both the House and the Senate, are working against the American people. And for those of you who want to see my latest column, it's called Our Unethical, Duplicitous, Corrupt Congressional Critters. Why are they doing this to me and to all of us? And why are we having to pay the bill? That is probably the question of the century, Zeb.
Well, let me read the response to what President Trump said about the illegal aliens coming in, and I can't find any fault with this, and I guess it's only the loony left that can paint a picture of negativism against this. He said, quote, "Immigrants who enter this country should not further saddle our healthcare system and subsequently American taxpayers with higher costs." He said continuing to allow entry into the United States of certain immigrants who lack health insurance or the demonstrated ability to pay for their health care would be detrimental to these interests. My goodness, what could be possibly wrong with that statement?
Again, what's going on in Washington, D.C., and across this country? I mean, as I reported in one of my other columns, over 500 sanctuary cities in this country. In other words, our own elected officials who have sworn to uphold the U.S. Constitution and the laws of the land are in fact breaking them and violating them. And they're doing it with immunity because they're getting away with it. I mean, that's what's happened to the state of Colorado, where I live. We have a sanctuary state. Jared Polis, was a sanctuary congressman. He then has jumped up to the governorship of Michael Hancock, who is a duplicitous individual himself. He has maintained what Hickenlooper started, and that's sanctuary status for Denver, Colorado. So it defies imagination. It defies understanding why our leaders of this country are degrading our citizenship. And I'm going to write a piece on citizenship, because what's happening to our country is that no longer is citizenship anything to honor. Because, again, we have 23 to 25 million illegal aliens in this country. We have all of their anchor babies in this country, which are into the millions. And therefore, and they're being literally supported by the elected officials and the breaking of our laws. And so that we, the American people, our citizenship is degraded, if not even meaningless at this point, because of what's going on with this continued invasion of our country.
Frosty, I think you could probably explain this better to the audience than anyone. But how do these politicians, i.e. Hickenlooper back there in your state, and anybody else that subscribes to sanctuary cities, or even a sanctuary state like what they want to proclaim in California, etc., sanctuary cities, why and for what? For what? What benefit to the human beings that are American citizens does a sanctuary city provide? Nothing. It costs them.
Well, it certainly does cost. It costs us in the MS-13 gangs who are now networked throughout this country. And you know that at least 500 sanctuary cities have their own MS-13 gang networks that are distributing all of the different drugs, whether it's methamphetamine, whether it's the heroin, whether it's any and all of the contraband that's coming into this country. That's all a network, and it's created by the sanctuary cities because they've given immunity. You see all of the illegals who are driving cars with no insurance, with no license, with no ability to read English. And then, of course, the drunken drivers, which is part of their culture, certainly in Mexico, drunken driving is a norm. The only solution when they get into an accident is they run from the accident, and then you and I pay higher insurance premiums. But then, for those of you who don't realize this, $50 billion a year is shoplifted out of stores across this country. That's by poor people. That's by illegal immigrants. That's by legal immigrants. They have found Muslim immigrants, it's just a part of their culture, stealing everything they could get under their little dresses there in Detroit and Minneapolis. And that's on top of the fact that we're paying for 93% of Muslims in Detroit and Minneapolis and certainly in New York and Miami and wherever they congregate. 93% are on EBT cards and 91% are on cash welfare payouts. Ladies and gentlemen, we are being absolutely screwed by our own every one of our two senators from each state and your House of Representative elected officials are screwing you because you are paying for all of this, and we as a country are paying for all of this, and there is absolutely at this point no end in sight.
Let me ask you this, and I want to change gears somewhat and jump on another set of railroad tracks. But you recently, as you have many times, by bicycle, toured America and really, really saw what the problems were close up and personal. Last night on the news, I listened to an interview of a homeless person down in Austin, Texas, that is taking advantage of Frosty Woldridge and Zeb Bell, and he's proud of it. He lives under an overpass in Austin, Texas, has for over 3 years. And when asked why he wouldn't go get a job, he said, why should I? Because I get free money, I get free food, I get everything free, and I can party with my friends every night. And see, this is the attitude of no responsibility and no self-respect. And I agree with Governor Greg Abbott this morning saying that's it. And they're going to go in and start cleaning out all these foul personalities that want to live off the government in tents. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would bring everyone's attention, and you can go online and look it up. It's an interview of a African-American lady who was actually quite attractive in her apartment there in California, and she was bragging that she has 4 children, that they have an EBT card. They can go to Subway or they can go to Pizza Hut and get all the food they want. They have a free apartment. She has a car that's paid for by the U.S. taxpayer, and she's really quite smug about all this, and she's very proud that she has these 4 children, all of them out of wedlock, doesn't know who the father was or the fathers were. And at the end of the interview, she says, well, look at what I've got here, and look how I'm having all of this paid for. And then she says at the end, I don't know why anyone would want to work in America with all these benefits.
Yeah.
That's no kidding. That is absolutely the video. And you sit here, and we've got millions of people and millions of women. Again, 7 out of 10 African-American babies are born out of wedlock and living with their mother, and the mother is on welfare. What happens when that gets into the tens of millions and 50 to 100 million? So many people on welfare, that the rest of us simply, well, we should just start collapsing and the entire system starts collapsing, because that's what's going to happen if this continues.
You know, it's almost like we've turned into a tin cup society and an acceptance of the tin cup. Somebody holds out the cup, we fill it up. Somebody empties the cup, we refill it. I'm fed up with it. And after listening to this absolute jerk that was living under that overpass and partying every night, and all the beer and everything, all the funsies are on the American taxpayer, I agree and applaud Abbott and other people saying, hey, bring in the bulldozers, we're cleaning them out of Dodge City. It's not only high time, it's past time.
Well, in many ways, it's beyond understanding, because you all know that I have personally pedaled my bike through Seattle with 6,000 homeless and 11,000 homeless in San Francisco. And again, San Francisco is no longer an American city. Everybody there is from a different country, and they're virtually the illegals that are in that. They must match even the legals. But they're not Americans. They're from every place else but our country. And Los Angeles is totally lost with the official numbers are 59,000 homeless. And I guarantee you, I pedaled my bicycle through that whole Skid Row and under the bridges. And it's gotten so big and so bad, it's almost like when you go through India. India has got the same kind of a situation, and so does Bangladesh. There's so much poverty. There's so much human misery. There's so much illiteracy that it has become a way of life, and there's no way to solve it. And at some point, and I think the point's already reached, certainly in California, where people like us, the people who work, the people who put the hours in, the teachers, the truck drivers, the veterinarians, the waitresses at a restaurant. I mean, every one of us who works. I've worked my whole life since I was 11, my first paper route. We're the ones that are really doing all the work. These others, these illegals, these legals, and all of these people who are just plain either too lazy or too either retarded or illiterate or mentally deranged or addicts of drugs and so forth, as their numbers grow, at some point there's no way to solve any of it. And so we will become another third world country. And I think that's what's happening right there in California right now. And it's just a matter of time where it spreads. And one thing I did go from San Diego all the way down to Brownsville, Texas, this summer, and I got to see the colonias again firsthand, the new neighborhoods. I would say somewhere close to 1 million people living in shacks and cardboard boxes along the Rio Grande there on our side of the border, all of them from Mexico and Central America. So what we're really doing and what our Congress is allowing or even facilitating is growing a third world contingent in this country, and at some point there's no way to solve it.
Yeah, and I think it's too easy, and I underline that word, easy, for people to just lump everybody and categorize everybody into all those poor people. Well, they're having some mental problems. Well, they're having some drug problems. No, I'm not going to lump it all in that category. We have a lot of these people with all the help wanted signs on every street in every town in America. I'm not going to buy into the fact that they can't pull themselves up by their bootstraps and better their life.
Well, certainly there is a percentage of them that absolutely could do that. But at the same time, the drug addiction in this country and those homeless is literally, they can't be pulled back from the brink, because drug addiction, like alcoholism, if there's no professional help, if there's no way to gather them into the loving arms of organizations like AA or whatever, we've got a big problem. But again, Zeb, that's part and parcel by the fact that the Congress, that's your two senators and your House member, they've done nothing to stop the drug invasion of our country. Something over $100 billion a year in drugs coming across this country. So again, you can see all the people that get hooked on heroin, they get hooked on methamphetamines, they get hooked on crack, they get hooked on morphine. They get hooked on all these other drugs. That's all being facilitated by your own members of Congress who are literally allowing it to happen, even and obviously facilitating it, because they refuse to secure the borders. They refuse to enforce the laws about employment. And so we're probably our own worst enemy in that employers of illegal aliens are the ones that are the drawing card. The sanctuary city mayors and those city councils are the ones that are facilitating the MS-13 gangs and the distribution of drugs. And does anybody realize that over 18 kids die from drug addiction every day in this country? So it's just like having a Columbine plus 4 every day of the year, and yet the federal government and the people who are representing us, the senators and the House members, they are not doing anything to stop this drug invasion of our country, certainly this illegal alien invasion of our country, and all of the consequences that we're reaping at this point in time, especially when that girl who had 4 kids living on EBT cards and a free car and free gasoline, but guess what? It ain't free, folks. We're paying for it. And she said, and I quote, "I don't know why anyone would want to work here in America with all these benefits."
Absolutely. You know, this is absolutely so scary and so repugnant to me and you. And yet, if we speak out, and I've only got 2 minutes left here, Frosty, so real quick response. If we speak out against this idiocy, we're called the hate mongers and the bigots.
You know, again, I always answer that call of, hate monger and racist and nativist and xenophobe with the fact that facts are not hate mongering. Facts are not racist. Facts are simply facts. And what I just stated on this radio show this morning are the facts. And so you can take these facts and you can deal with them, or you can pretend and hide your head, or if you're one of those flaming liberals, like it's like Warren, Elizabeth Warren. She's going to pay for, I think it was $72 trillion, or no, $52 trillion. It was some unheard of. I think it was $52 trillion, or it might have been 70.
No, it's $52 trillion.
Ford Medicaid for everyone.
Yeah.
Period. And yet she's the head. She's the front runner for the Democratic presidential race. It's beyond my understanding, Zeb. It's incomprehensible what's happening to our country.
I could not agree more. Thank you so much for your observations this morning, and I always look forward to Monday mornings with my dear friend from Golden, Colorado, Frosty Woolridge. My friend, take care. Next Monday, we'll look forward to it. Thank you.
Godspeed, Zeb.
Thank you very much. Boy, he's spot on. And yet there will be those that will listen and send me their trashy little emails and say, "Oh, you're a bigot and a hate monger." Well, I'm right. I can't help it. Calls are welcome in just a moment. Don't forget the weather being brought to you right now by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. I mean, they are the professionals. And they are the best with tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of this and more for you, your family, and your business. I urge you to get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert, the best. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's look at your weather forecast for this first full work week of November, and honestly, it's going to be very nice. We are expecting sunny skies with a high of 55. Winds are going to be calm out of the west at about 5 miles an hour tonight, nice and clear with a low of about 30. And then it looks like this high-pressure system is going to stick around for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 60. They're expecting an overnight low of 31 by Wednesday, mostly sunny and 60, overnight low of 27. 55 for Thursday, back up to 60 for Friday and Saturday. That's the look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, that's not too bad for November weather. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate that. And the weather brought to you again by our friends at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. They're easy to get a hold of, and I urge you to do so to help you and your family business. And remember, 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert for the best. The professionals, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Oh boy, coming up next hour, we've got Walter Hoy II talking about Planned Parenthood. Can't wait to get him on the air talking about that. And then at 10:32 this morning, don't forget, Joe Sixpack is going to come back on the program, and we're going to be talking about the idiocies, and they are, of socialism. I want to remind you about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, and they're located at 459 Overland in Burley. Hello, Jeff. Hello, crew. I mean, they're having a fall flooring closeout special. Flooring is up to 50% off, and then they've got great specials like on Deluxe Recliner. They've got them marked way down. Regular was $529, now $249. They've got specials on love seats and sofas, and my goodness, all window coverings 40% off. What are you waiting for? No money down, no interest, up to 48 months on approved credit with the big harvest sale at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. I urge you to get in there and see those good folks today. By the way, and no excuses, tomorrow is Election Day, and I urge you to go to the polls and vote. Please remember that tomorrow, vote day. And a gentleman that wants your vote to become the mayor of Heyburn is Mark Rosa. Mark wants to get the most out of your money and wants to help Heyburn residents get the most out of all the dollars that are spent in the area. And he says they need smart leadership that will keep taxes and utility rates in line with neighboring cities. And as I said earlier, he will not overturn the will of the people by pushing through items that were voted down. So remember, tomorrow when you go to the polls, vote for Mark Rosa for Heyburn Mayor, paid for by Mark Rosa for Mayor Committee. Wow. Let's see what else. Here's something I want you to remind you, and I'm not in favor of this at all. I've really got a viewpoint on this that I don't like anybody saying, well, you can't go there, you can't go here, we're going to close these roads and trails down. The Minidoka Ranger District is going to have an open house to help, I love these words, help the public understand the proposed seasonal route road restriction project, and the first open house will be from 7 to 9 p.m. this Thursday, November 7th at the Cassia County Commissioners Chambers at 1459 Overland in Burley. And very important that everybody that can be there, be there. We're going to put this in the box for a few minutes and then come back in about 7 or 8 minutes with more. We're going to have Walter Hoy on the program. He's the founder and president of Issues for Life Foundation. And then at 10:30, like I said, Joe Sixpack. Stay tuned. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Good morning. Welcome back into the fold for another half hour. No, what am I talking about? Another full hour. Good heavens, scared wheels to death, my engineer over there. Half hour? No, it's a full hour. Zeb at the Ranch right now with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today for the best of tires and the upkeep of your car, the brakes, running alignments, everything. Stop in and see them today. And, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. I also want to acknowledge right now our friends at Greystone Crossing, and as you know, they have a wonderful, wonderful place built for seniors to live with other seniors and just enjoy life. They've got a 12-bedroom home, Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living on Alfresco Road, that's 21st Street, just a mile east of Walmart. You can't miss it, and don't forget they provide 3 meals a day, housekeeping, local transportation, all of this and a lot of great friendship and fun. Absolutely. I urge you to call, make an appointment to see the property at 650-4979. That number again to contact Matt or Kelly Wiggins, 650-4979. Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. And real quick also, tomorrow is voting day, and I want to remind you, too, about our Heyburn mayor that's running for re-election, Cleo Gallegos, and she wants to have your vote tomorrow on Vote Day USA. Don't forget, she served on the Heyburn City Council for 16 consecutive years and as mayor for 4 years, and she wants to help enable the citizens to have unprecedented access to city government with open-door policies and quick response times. She has worked tirelessly for the city of Heyburn and wants your vote tomorrow. Heyburn Mayor Cleo Gallegos running for re-election, paid for by Cleo Gallegos for Mayor Committee. Wheels, were you trying to say something to me a moment ago? I guess not. He's gone. Everything's okay? All right, good. I believe we have our guest waiting in the wings, and I'll get right to that guest right after I tell everybody one more time about Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric. Now, they have teamed up to offer the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a brand new home comfort system. So stay comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we have with us the founder and president of Issues for Life Foundation, Walter Hoy. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Well, not too bad. You're, I believe, down in California at the current time, and if that's the case, how bad really are the fires down there, Walter?
They are bad. There's so many lives at stake, and what I really appreciate is the effort that the emergency services folk have put in. They've put in overtime. They're doing everything they possibly can to save lives, and they're quite effective, and I'm grateful to God for that.
Well, we all should be grateful for all the help, and I have maintained, I don't want to get really political in your segment, but I've said for a long time that these fires in California don't have to be with this much fuel. If they would go in and basically thumb their nose at the environmentalists and clean out a lot of the deadfall and clean up their forests, they wouldn't have had as big a problem as they've had.
I can't disagree with you on that. I think you're on point.
Walter, I want to talk to you a little bit about a subject that I'm saddened by it in this country, and I'm also a little bit more than outraged, and that's the willful killing of babies in this country through abortion, I'll call it infanticide, and the funding of Planned Parenthood. And that leads me up to have you talk about your organization, Issues for Life.
Well, there's no question that the abortion industry targets Black America, and I'm using my words deliberately. When I take a look at abortion industry data, now this is data that the abortion industry itself is willing to admit to. When I consider just what they're willing to publish, Black Americans are at least 28% of all abortions in the United States. Well, maybe 13, 14% of the entire population of the country, and yet we're responsible for 28% abortion. when I keep on looking at the data, I realize that about half of us are women. We're looking at not around 14% being responsible for the 28%. We're looking at around 6 to 7% responsible for the 28%. And then when I consider childbearing age, we're looking at about 3 or 4% responsible for 28% of all abortions in the United States of America. And there's absolutely no question now that the abortion industry is targeting Black America.
Okay, but why is this problem like it is today, Walter? I mean, why? I don't want to ever have anything misconstrued about saying the wrong thing about race or the wrong thing about any ethnicity, etc. But why is that 28% figure so high with Black Americans?
Well, one is that they're actually putting the abortion clinics in our neighborhoods. They're literally targeting us by locating their abortion clinic in our neighborhoods. And then two, we need to do as a church a much better job of addressing this issue from the pulpit, and we don't do that. Unfortunately, that is a huge, huge problem in our community.
You know, right there, I'm going to stop you and I'm going to slap you on the back and say thank you for saying something that I've been saying on this program for a long time, that the goody two-shoes attitude from the pulpit has got to stop. They've got to take the gloves off. They've got to address societal problems and issues if they're going to try to correct this. They can't stand up there and avoid these issues. Go ahead and expand on that.
Well, you're absolutely right. Abortion is the most controversial issue in the church today, a Black church today, and we really just don't talk about it. But as a result of not addressing it, our numbers are they're escalating. We need to address this particular issue like we would address any other sin and call it what it is. It's against the word of it is a sin. That's right there in Exodus chapter 1. You could take a look at a late-term abortion right there in Exodus chapter 1. At the same time, you can see how God blessed the midwives and how God blessed their homes. So you can see exactly the position that God takes on this particular issue. And so we as pastors, we as leaders in our churches, we're just going to have to step up to the plate and start addressing this issue from the top all the way down to the bottom.
Let me ask you this. I'm rather naive about some of what we're going to be talking about this morning, but why and how have societies like ours and other parts of the world, why have they accepted abortion as a kind of a accepted practice of birth control?
Well, years ago, Margaret Sanger introduced the concept that you need to have money to have children. So essentially she comes in our community and says, well, the reason why your money isn't going as far as it could go is because you have too many children. And then, if we go far back as the 1850s or so, we're looking at a total fertility rate in Black America of 7.9. I mean, we're having large families, large kids. And this is biblical. God blesses the children of Israel by expanding their numbers. There's more than the sand in the sea, more than the stars in the sky. This is their blessing. And we were being blessed with large families, but all of a sudden money gets introduced into it. And so we've got this concept now that's alive today when women are getting pregnant, some of them are thinking, well, I need money in order to really take care of the children. And so if I don't have the money, I can't have the child. And that's something, again, that really needs to be addressed in the pulpit entirely. We need to value life a whole lot more than we do now.
Absolutely. We have a caller on the air with a question for you. Caller, please, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, Jeb, in my opinion, I think if there's even 1 millionth of 1% of abortions done, that's way, way, way too many, because that's no more than premeditated murder. And there's no other way you can call it, no other thing on this earth you can call it, no other purpose in the world you can call it, other than destroying a life that needs to be living.
I appreciate your...
Absolutely. Cannot go along with anybody saying that a certain percentage of our population has abortions. It's just ridiculous.
I'll have our guest respond to your call. Thank you very much. Walter, respond to the caller, please.
Let me jump on that real quick, and thank you, the guest, for saying that it is murder. And note this: in 1964, Planned Parenthood's own brochure, was identifying abortion as taking the life of an innocent human being. This is Planned Parenthood. This is their own brochure that they're handing out publicly to everybody in America. They're clearly saying that abortion is taking the life of an innocent human being. Now, at the same time they were doing this, same time they were passing out this brochure, they were planning to kill innocent human beings, babies in the womb. So in 1967, abortion becomes legal during the Alan Guttmacher era when he was president of Planned Parenthood. And in 1967, abortion became legal in California, in Mississippi, and Colorado. So while they were claiming that, oh, no, just birth control, don't do abortion, abortion takes the life before it even begins, abortion is murder, while they were admitting that, they were at the same time planning on killing. And so it does become legal. It becomes legal in 1967, and they knew exactly what it was all the time, and they did it anyway.
Walter, I'm 72 years old. I'm an old man. And yet I am shocked and absolutely taken aback by the attitude of the liberal left in this country now that says basically when a baby is full term and the mother doesn't want it, put the infant on a gurney and put it into a closet and let it expire. I never thought in my lifetime I would hear anything as heinous as what's going on.
You know, I do appreciate. I would have never believed it myself that we would get to the point that we would honestly tell ourselves that, oh no, what's inside of a mother is not a living, breathing human being. I just can't even conceive that. And not only from the very moment of conception, we're believing this all the way through the 9th month. So a child could literally be born alive. And as you were talking about, set in a room to just die, to just suffer and die. And that's legal. And that is troubling me to the nth degree.
What does it tell you, though, Walter, and you're closer to this because every day you work with this, but what does it tell you about our current culture and the absolute lack of caring and respect in this nation? I mean, sooner or later we're going to have that society to where it's going to be a hemlock society to where we don't care about the newborns, and we're certainly going to let the elderly die. I mean, we're talking about a hemlock society where life doesn't matter.
Well, the hemlock society and the abortion clinic are really one. It's all about eugenics. And that's where it comes from, even as far back as the early 1900s. And as a society, we're moving as fast as we can in that direction. And so if you want to take a look at this from a broader perspective, that's why it's no problem for us to consider, well, you know, you've lived long enough. Life isn't as good as it could be. Why don't we help you commit suicide? Why don't we help you kill yourself? All of a sudden, killing, murder has become an answer to our problems. And I'm still stunned that as a public, we're believing that. We're taking that in.
Walter, we have a caller calling in on the phone line. Caller, quickly with your question. Go ahead.
Sure, Walter, appreciate your input. What do you know about harvesting body parts, your parts of these embryos now?
There is no question that the abortion industry, Planned Parenthood leading the way, is literally selling, profiting from the sale of baby body parts. They're literally aborting children in a certain way that they can preserve some body parts. And in some cases, they need to leave the child alive. So then they can then take the body part right after the child dies. This is premeditated murder. Now, I'm very familiar with this out here. We've got David Delighton in court. And And they're literally admitting, yeah, we sell them, yeah, we take the baby body part, yeah, we're actually doing this. They're literally admitting this in court, and oh my goodness, I would have think that would have, closed the deal. They would be, Planned Parenthood would be found guilty, but that isn't the case.
Caller, I appreciate your call this morning. Walter, I've got to ask you this. I'm a taxpayer, you're a taxpayer, and our taxpayer dollars are going to fund this idiocy and this insanity with Planned Parenthood. And I, for one, I've spoken out against Planned Parenthood on this program for years, but I just seem to be a voice crying in the wilderness. Is there anything going on that we can say looks like we're finally starting to get a little chink in the Planned Parenthood armor?
Well, I want to say yes, but I'm with you on this one too. I don't think so. I'm not seeing us finally getting to the point where we're willing to say, let's close down Planned Parenthood and at least no taxpayer dollars. I can't see that coming at all at this point, and that's very, very unfortunate. And this is really bothering me because just in the month of October, just last month, Planned Parenthood celebrated 103 years as the culture of death. And so this has been going on way too long, way beyond what I would have ever dreamed that it would have, even in my worst nightmares. And so, no, I'm not so sure we're going to see an end of the taxpayer dollar going there, but I am encouraged by what I am seeing lately. And so maybe there is some hope in that area.
We have another call with a question. Go ahead, caller, quickly. You're on the air.
Comment. I call it Planned Unparenthood.
Love it.
Well, caller, I appreciate it. Walter, expand on that a little bit, if you would, please. Thank you, caller.
It's an oxymoron. It has nothing to do with parenthood. It has nothing to do with becoming a parent. It's everything about killing the baby inside the womb so that you don't have to parent. If you don't want to parent at all, then you go to Planned Parenthood. It's not about being a parent. It's not about learning how to be a mom or dad. It's got nothing to do with that. It's about unparenting altogether, completely, even to the extent that you kill the baby in the womb.
The lady was 100% right on her call, and I'm sitting here looking at your information sheets, and the number one thing that keeps my attention and my eyes go back to this, over 7 million abortions in this country. 7 million babies died needlessly. I just am appalled at this.
When you think about how many lives have been lost to just abortion, you begin to realize the magnitude of the evil that abortion really is. And the numbers just get bigger and bigger and bigger. No matter how I look at this, if I look at this from the classic genocide description, take a look at the Armenian genocide. Oh, my goodness, 1.5 million. That was considered genocide, and we had to have a United Nations meeting, and we had to put this into writing. And then we have the Jewish Holocaust. We're looking over 6-7 million lives lost. Oh, my goodness. But when I take a look at abortion, particularly abortion in Black America, and I'm just we're looking at over 20 million Black babies have been deliberately murdered inside the womb by way of the abortion industry. There's no question this is a genocide. There's no question this is a Holocaust by the very definition of the term itself.
Let me ask you, I've only got a minute left, Walter. I wished I had more time. But you're a Christian man. I'm a Christian man. How can we turn this bus around before it goes over the cliff? Is there an answer?
I think so. I think God is clear that He has put the church in place as the agency He has chosen to communicate His values, His morals to the general population. I think we've got to put together programs that literally reach strengthen and build up church leadership so church leadership can be much stronger than they are in this particular area. And I think we're going to have to re-look at what we're doing in terms of trying to reach the leadership in the church. And I think there's some programs that we can put in place that would be a little different. And if I talked about the program that we have that has proven to be highly effective. But anyway, God bless you. Thank you for that question.
Walter B. Hoy II, founder and president of Issues for Life Foundation. Sir, I hope you will consent to coming back on the program. You're welcome here anytime. There. You and I are in the same camp. We're on the same team. I'd love to come back. God bless you. God bless you, sir. Thank you very, very much. Very passionate plea for humanity to act human. And Walter B. Hoy II, founder and president of Issues for Life Foundation. And I'm going to have him back. Absolutely appreciate his taking the time to come on our program. Let's see, what else have I got to do here real quick? Oh, I've got to remind you again about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox and the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox featuring remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place, anytime. That's right. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox now offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Check it out today. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 208-678-0459 or visit ramseysonline.com. Also, real quick, I got some friends, and I got to tell you that I had a nice talk with Curtis the other day over to Patterson's, and they have got something really, really nice going on, and I want to share it with you. And Curtis is going to be on our program tomorrow. When you buy something from Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley, you know, I mean, whether it's a television set or a video surveillance unit or home theater system, whatever it is, when you purchase a product at Patterson's for the next 30 days, tell them what your favorite charity is. Then at the end of the month, Patterson's will pick the top 2 charities and donate $500 to each of those top 2 charities. Isn't that nice? That's amazing, and all the more reason why you should go in and support those great folks, Curtis and Lorena and the rest of the staff at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Stop in today to Patterson's. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels. We'll be back in about 3 minutes with Joe Sixpack. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
And a good morning to you on this Monday, November 4th, as we're into our last half hour. And I'm really honored to have this gentleman back on my program. He is the author of the book called Socialism Sucks, Your Money Right from Your Pocket. And that's Joe Sixpack, and we're going to talk to this man right now. Socialism does suck, and absolutely it's the worst thing that could ever happen or pretend to be happening in the United States. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Zeb. How are you?
Well, it's been unfortunate the last couple of weeks. We were trying to make connections with you on another subject, but I'm so glad that you're back on the program this morning. And I got to tell you something, Joe. I'm up to here. I'm pointing at my ears right now. I'm up to here with this idiocy and insanity that's going on in this country with people that are favoring socialism over capitalism and a complete transition away from our Constitution. What in the world is going on here?
Yeah, it's pretty sickening. You know, it started with Obama. No, it didn't start there. It started way back before, but it really picked up steam when he made his famous line, I'm going to fundamentally transform the way this country works. I mean, that's what he was saying loud and clear. And, you know, it's funny. Back then, if I had called him or anybody else, right or left, a socialist, I would have been laughed out of the room by both sides. And here we are several years later, and these people are wearing socialism like a badge of honor. It's absolutely disgusting, and it appeals to the worst in human nature, and it kills the human spirit.
When you say that, I mean, it should be so obvious to somebody that has a work ethic, somebody that has personal responsibility, somebody that has a family, somebody that gets up in the morning and goes to work, or maybe somebody that owns a company and writes out the checks. I mean, but this is complete lunacy for everybody to be standing in line with a tin cup out waiting for the government to pour the broth in.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the way they're conditioned in those government socialist indoctrination camps, which we call schools. So, they're being spoon-fed this flop by their professors. My book goes into that. Exactly why I wrote it for young people, to counter what they're being told this country is about, all in the name of quote-unquote fairness, as you rightly pointed out, to right-minded people who are getting up and going to work and all those things that you listed that college kids don't do. That kind of draws the connection that, these kids are not, they're being indoctrinated this way. They're not having to go out and fend for themselves. Everything's being handed to them. They never worked a day in their lives. They don't, these kids are handed everything from the get-go. They've never worked for anything. So when they get out and they start making their first paycheck, I think their minds are going to start changing a little. As Churchill said, if you're not a liberal at 20, you don't have a heart, and if you're not a conservative at 40, you don't have a brain.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of this generation that's coming up, and I'm not lumping everybody into the same category, because I'm sure that you know, and I do know, many that are millennials of that age bracket that are very successful young entrepreneurs, and when you talk to them, they're embarrassed that others at their age level are making such fools out of themselves and literally wasting their lives.
No, you're absolutely correct. I do know some, and they are. They're gobsmacked. I mean, they're looking around at these guys running around with man buns and skinny jeans and, crying every time they get offended or triggered or whatever the hell the word is now. I mean, these people are not intelligent enough to be embarrassed by their thoughts and actions.
And Joe, let me ask you.
I blame the parents, by the way.
Well, yeah.
The parents have abdicated their responsibility largely to the school, and education does not come from schooling. Schooling is ABC 1, 2, 3. Education is everything else. It's grandpa taking the kids hunting. It's dad teaching the kids how to fix stuff. That's education. So these people are confusing schooling and education. Education comes from the home, and that's why the socialists want to destroy the family unit. They want to destroy the social fabric of this country, and they want dependent classes. That's what they're trying to achieve.
You're spot on, my dear friend, but I will say this. I totally agree with you with your analogy on families and education. But, I had recently I've had Dr. Warren Farrell on my program many times talking about why men aren't men anymore and that we're raising a nation of wussies, and he's absolutely right. I mean, some of the television shows, most of the television shows, portray men as bumbling idiots instead of being the household leader, and until we turn this mess around, this bus is going to go over a cliff.
Oh, you're right. I think we're already halfway over it. It's what I call the wussification of society, and they are emasculating men. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to my purview to push anybody else's book, but there's a brilliant young guy by the name of Stephen Arnio who wrote a book called Hard Times Create Strong Men. It is phenomenal. It is my favorite book, second only to Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. And he nails it. 600 pages. He does a fantastic job.
Joe, how are we going to turn this around? Go ahead. I'm sorry. We had an overlay there. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I was at the end of my speech there.
We got a little bit of feedback here this morning. I apologize for that. But, when we talk about education and we talk about parents at home, which absolutely it starts there. But then as they grow older, there seems to be a complete resistance of common sense from the older generation, our politicians. And they're actually aiding and abetting these people to go on and be nothing more than tin cuppers to the government. We've got quite a task ahead of us, my friend.
Absolutely, and the really nasty part about it is that I think I mentioned this last time when I was talking with you. I don't distinguish between Democrats and Republicans. To me, the focus is more about them versus we the people. You know, I mean, I'm not saying there's no good Republican politicians, but the grand majority, they're playing a role. You know, they're playing their role. Why aren't they countering all of this stuff that the left is doing? Because they're complicit. They're just playing a role. And that's why I don't have a whole lot of faith. The whole political spectrum has shifted so far left over the course of the past 40 years. You know, I mean, today Kennedy would be a Republican. The Republicans were the Democrats were 40 years ago, and the Democrats are now the Socialist Democratic Party of the United States.
You know, earlier this morning and on previous programs, Joe, I have been very emphatic. I am a Caucasian, which means I'm white. And I am a very proud American. I get teary-eyed when I hear that national anthem and look up at that flag, and I respect and love my country more than any other. So I am a nationalist. But now today, these absolutely herky-jerky left liberal loons have lumped being a white nationalist into being something dirty and bigoted and hate-mongerish.
Well, you know, I agree with what you're saying, and I'm the same exact type of person, but the problem is that so many people on the right are so afraid of being called whatever, a bigot, a racist, a misogynist, a homophobe, Islamophobe, all that stuff. Why are they afraid to be called a name? You know, when I was a kid, it was sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never hurt me. I mean, I'll get up and say anything in any forum. I don't care. If you want to call me a racist, go ahead. It doesn't mean it's true. I wish more people would do that. You know, Osama bin Laden, I think, summed it up best when he said, when people see a strong horse and a weak horse, they naturally gravitate towards the strong horse. And he's exactly right. And if more people in the conservative movement would speak up and proudly proclaim, you'd find the people falling in behind them. That's how Trump blew it out in the last election. Because he stood up and he said all the things those other worms are afraid to say, but we're all thinking.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly the point that I was getting at, though, is that we as a society, we're so lawsuit happy, and we're pointing our finger at everybody else if our feelings get hurt. And quite frankly, I think we need to go back to the old Gunsmoke days, Matt Dillon standing on the streets of Dodge City, and if somebody challenges you, go ahead and take them on.
I agree. You know, they used to hang horse thieves in the town square so all the kids could see it, draw their own conclusions on how they wanted to go about things. You know, a lot of people used to get culled out of the gene pool by their own insanity or stupidity, and we're preserving that in the gene pool these days. And yeah, it's not much to my liking either. I like your idea better.
Well, I just think that if we don't do something now, and I'm not quite sure how to do it, I can sit here and complain, you and I can both complain together on an interview, but to get parents more involved with their kids. I'll give you an example. Just recently, I had a wonderful lady that is one of the education heads for the state of Idaho, and she was on my program and said it's just absolutely almost impossible to get parents to go to their kids' parent-teachers meetings. I mean, that's disgusting. Back in my day, that wasn't ever heard of. Parents absolutely were there to find out what little Johnny and Susie were doing or not doing, and today they can't get parents involved.
Yeah, again, that's the apathy, you know, they're referring to. They're just trying to just dish off everything with regard to that kid and education to the school, and that is just it's sheer stupidity. It's terrible parenting, and it's lazy. But you know that's what you're dealing with. That's why the government indoctrination camps have been able to be so successful with their socialist campaign with young people. You know, and nobody on the right is doing anything to counter it. That's why I wrote the book, and I'm pissed off that nobody on the right is countering this flop and proclaiming capitalism.
Okay, why is that, Joe?
Great system it is and all the benefits. There's no charity without capitalism.
Yeah, okay, stop right there, though, Joe. Why? I mean, I just don't understand why. Why isn't someone standing up and saying, hey, Joe, you're spot on. Absolutely, capitalism is what built this country. Socialism is what will tear it down and destroy it. Why aren't there more people speaking out? Surely you get around and hear other people. What's their excuse?
I think it's the fear. You know, you go up to Cpac. I went to Cpac last year, and it was filled with conservatives. It was brilliant, but but nobody's focusing on the kids. And I think it's because they feel like they're wasting their time, and it's easier to just talk to like-minded people and affirm your beliefs. I mean, you can't argue with the socialists. That's the point. So you're not even trying to do that because they have no logic whatsoever. But you're trying to say to young people, that, again, that's why I wrote the book. This book is not for adults. It's for guys like you and me to buy a few copies of for under $10 and hand them out to your kids and grandkids and nephews and nieces and try to do what you can in your own immediate family. That's the whole idea behind the book. It's very simply written, simple language, short chapters. It's just supposed to be a young person's guide, not to be a conservative even, but just to think, use your common sense. Think, look at the problem and think for yourself. See who's benefiting.
Absolutely.
Where's the money flowing?
Absolutely.
Now draw your own conclusions and don't listen to the talking heads, politicians, teachers, professors, etc.
Absolutely. Joe, we've got a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air, please.
Well, I'd like to think that the kids are actually reading books, but I really seriously doubt that they are. I suppose, I know it used to be part of the curriculum, but I don't even know if it is anymore. My youngest daughter is 21, so she's no longer in school. I have granddaughters, lots of them, but, only 2 of them live in my town. And I guess you need to find out what's going on, but my children's parents are doing their job, I think, like they should, but there's so many across this nation just don't even care. They're preoccupied on their phone. They have smartphones, the kids, the parents, and nobody knows anything. They're dumber than they've ever been. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, Joe, if you would, please.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said go ahead and respond to the caller, if you would, please.
No, I mean, there's anything to respond to. It makes a great point, and it's terrible, but it just leads back to what we talked about before, about the parents abdicating their responsibility to the schools and not teaching educating their own children.
But Joe, I've only got about 2 or 3 minutes left here, and I want you to amplify this point a little bit. When you listen to the Democratic possible nominees to be the president of the United States of America, and they're sitting there espousing the fact that Medicare for all, and they don't just discern all as American citizens, they say for anybody that wants to come here. I mean, we're talking about Medicare for all. We're talking about the stupidity of green energy. We're talking about the asininity of releasing and relinquishing student debt for educations at higher universities to make baskets. I mean, this is lunacy, and we're accepting this.
Yeah, I mean, it is lunacy, and the price tag on all this stuff just shows you that it's absolute ridiculousness, and it's not serious. But it gives them talking points, and it's part of the larger scheme of chipping away at the society at every level, whether it's pro-gun, whether it's green energy, whatever that may be. With that being said, can you imagine any one of those clowns who are still on the Democratic side being on stage with Donald Trump next year? It is going to be hilarious. He will eviscerate them. It'll be like a circus. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Well, the way the clown car is unloading right now and they're going into the center ring, it makes me question why and how the Democrats could possibly be proud of any of these individuals. Listen, Joe, I'm out of time, but I want people to find out more about your book, Socialism Sucks, Your Money from Your Pocket. Where can they find the book?
Easiest place to go would be Amazon. Less than $10. Socialism Sucks, Your Money from Your Pocket. All the young people in your life.
Joe Sixpack, you're a good guy, and I certainly hope you'll consent to coming back in the future. Thank you so much.
I would love to. Thank you very much.
All right. God bless. Thank you very much. Joe Sixpack talking about America and the stupidity from the liberal left. And they are. Wow. Let's see. I got to pay some bills. No, I got to have a weather forecast. My goodness sakes, Wheels is sitting there going, Zeb, I'm coming. Here we go. Weather brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. And if you want to find out more about their meats and get the whole list, the whole itinerary of what they have, go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Absolutely delicious meats. Marinated pork ribs and tri-tips and all the different kinds of bacon and sausages. Oh, the sausage is delicious. Bratwurst. I love bratwurst. All of this and so much more. Find out more. Give them a call. 324-7657. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's the Mixture Weather Forecast for this first full work week of November, and honestly, it's going to be very nice. We are expecting sunny skies with a high of 55. Winds are going to be calm out of the west at about 5 miles an hour tonight, nice and clear with a low of about 30. And then it looks like this high-pressure system is going to stick around for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 60. We're expecting an overnight low of 31 by Wednesday, mostly sunny and 60, overnight low of 27. 55 for Thursday, back up to 60 for Friday and Saturday. That's the Mixture Weather Forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Doesn't sound too shabby for already November. And our weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. And it is so true. Scarro's Meats, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I want to get this story on real quick, and I'll take some more calls too, but did you folks hear this morning, and this is one of those throw your boots at the TV stories, Maryland County Executive has banned a local police station from displaying a what they call divisive thin blue line flag. Let me tell you about this quickly. A county executive in Maryland has banned a police station from displaying this thin blue line flag that was a gift from a local resident. Here's the quote. The flag provides a symbol of support to some, but it's a symbol of dismissiveness to others, said this county executive. And then he goes on to say, because it is divisive, the flag will not be posted at the 5th District nor in any public space within the police department. Can you imagine? Our police in this country, the United States of America, are under siege. And to put on that uniform and go out and protect us every single day, and then we have all these weirdos, these crazies, and these ne'er-do-wells that want to do them harm. And a local citizen back in Maryland in this county made a wooden thin blue line flag to present to the police department as a thank you for what they do. And then this imbecilic loon left by the name of Executive Mark Helrick said, the flag provides a symbol of support to some, but it is a symbol of dismissiveness to others, and it is divisive. Oh, my goodness. If I lived in that county, I would be right there in the face of this Montgomery County executive and tell him exactly what the goat did in the garden. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
The goat did the garden. I tell you what, Zeb, the world's gone crazy, and you say to yourself, is there any sanity left? And where do you find it? And it just always boils back down to one thing again. Where is the sanity at? I know there's sane people all over the world and all over this country, but it seems as though they're slipping away. And so we live in southern Idaho, and you say this might be the safest, sanest place on earth, and they're boiling in here like there's no tomorrow even then.
Well, listen to this, though. Earlier this morning, we were talking about white nationalism and how I'm supposed to be a bigot and a hate monger because I love my country and I can't change the color of my skin. I love my country above all others, and so I'm bad. I'm a white nationalist. And here we have support for the local police and some absolute jackass like this Montgomery County executive, Mark Elric, said, we can't have that flag up because the flag is too divisive. My goodness, our country has fallen apart at the seams because of these left stupid people.
Well, they're not going to change, and I don't know what crisis it takes for people to change. But, as your children grow up, I had a daughter that voted for Obama, and she has since, realized that, that it was a folly. But you see, there was times when your children don't even listen to you. They just think you're, whatever they think. I don't know. They think whatever they think. They think you're old-fashioned or prejudiced or whatever. And so, they have to grow up and be in real life before they start to realize what really matters.
That's absolutely the
capitalism and the Constitution and America are what matters.
Absolutely. Thanks, Randy. I appreciate it, buddy. Caller, real quick. I've only got a minute. Fast.
All righty. Let's see, what was... Oh, doggone it.
What, Doug?
The wind blew right through.
Are you going to talk about the police flag?
That and what you was talking about earlier about people helping themselves.
Oh, yeah, I agree with. I'm not going to back off on that.
And I seen this morning, this guy wrote a book, and the title of the book is The Harder You Work, the Luckier You Will Be.
Amen. Amen.
And that's the guy that started All Trade. He was a part-time janitor, and him and his buddies got together and started the business, All Trade, the trading on the stock market.
Well, I'll tell you something, Doug. When you start having stories about people that are in elected positions and they say, well, you can't have the flag up because it's divisive, those people need to have a little bit of a tar and feathering campaign going on against them and march them straight to the ocean on a leaky raft and say, adios, amigo. This is our country, this is our flag, and we should all be proud of it.
And they need to read the Constitution that they swore as an oath of office to uphold and defend.
Amen. This story just makes me... I'll tell you what, I wore my deodorant off. I'm that frustrated right now.
Well, here's something to do to him. I seen a deal on the internet the other day. It says, I'm sorry I sprayed WD-40 in your mouth, but it did stop that noise that you were making.
I got to run. Hey, don't call so late next time. Good to hear from you. Thanks.
I'm busy this morning. God bless.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Got to get out of here, and I got to remind everybody, too, about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Best of tires, all the tread designs, everything for your cars, pickups, SUVs, trailers of all types. They've got them all. Plus, they've got the best in brake service. Highly trained brake technicians, along with front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. You need a good battery for these colder days ahead. They've got all the batteries. They've got everything for you along with the best of service. Please stop in and see the best. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. We're out of time. Zeb at the Ranch, where we always end the program by saying the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 most important words, in God we trust. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.